at it.
Okay, what up?
What up, man?
It's just me and you today.
Yep, hit squad.
Manny Digital is doing digital things out there.
Right.
He's working.
He's being his namesake.
He's doing the things that we talk about that get in the way of some things.
Mm-hmm. Basically.
But it's a positive thing. He's
out. Moving around. Moving around.
Earning for the family.
Exactly.
What's going on with you, man?
Oh man. Just trying to navigate. Just waiting for the hammer to drop on all these school mandates.
It's getting crazy, man.
It is.
I mean, this doesn't have necessarily to do with I think everything has to do with the family, but I just feel like all this overwhelming information of like real information, and then you have just so many opinions and just and the the political spectrums and the ideologies, and it's just, man, it's getting annoying, man.
Well, the problem is that for whatever you read or someone gives you a factor or their opinion, or you can find any type of differing opinion that will,
right,
someone will say, well, this top scientist says this, and then you can go somewhere else and like, well, this other group of top scientists says this. And so it's like, all right, well, who do you really believe in any of this stuff?
I don't know if this happens to you, but when I start to think about the downhill trajectory, I think that humans have taken with all this like social media and overwhelming information and all this tribal way of being, which obviously throughout history people have been tribal. That's where you get the word from. You know what I'm saying? Like legit tribes and stuff. But I think it's different now where you can, share all these different ideas and informations in the ease that we have now and cause all this division. Does it ever give you anxiety, man? Like for your kids, for your son? I mean, me for my kids, and obviously Manny for his kids.
Yeah, definitely. I just know the time is gonna come where, and I hope it doesn't turn into a battle, but it's gonna be like he's gonna get to that age where all his friends are on social media or they're using whatever that is at that point. And then it's gonna be the whole question of, well, how come I can't, or I'm gonna feel left out. That's even happened in the past. Like, we're pretty strict in terms of like video games and stuff like that. He's allowed to play a little bit of Roblox with some of his friends, but specific games. That Vans World came out, and that's pretty dope.
Yeah.
I don't know if you, there's a sidebar. But even then, like I remember last year, I forget the name of the game that some of his friends were playing. I think it was called Among Us. It's not that it was like super violent, but it's kind of like a new version of Clue, but it's still the whole idea of like, all right, someone just killed someone. Now we got to find who the killer is. And so even just at that young of age, just the idea of, all right, they're going to spend their time talking about who killed such and such. Like, I don't really know if I want his brain sucked into that right now. So we were like, nah, that's not something that you're going to play or that we're going to play in this house, So his friends were playing it. And then there would be times where he would come home and say, just kind of be in a bad mood because he feels left out because all his friends were talking about it, but he couldn't really chime in on it. And so it's one of those things where we just had to tell him, like, look, this is probably don't want to hear it, but this is a way to help build character in a sense, because there's going to be things that you're not going to be able to do that your friends are going to do. And that's just not going to, as a family, we're not going to partake in certain things. And so you're just going to have to get used to doing something else or finding something else to talk about, or just understand you're not going to be taking part in every single thing that your friends do.
Do you ever second guess these rules that you're putting in place? Do you
Not
ever feel
really.
like it's too strict or it's too lenient or?
No, I mean, I think we're flexible enough in that we can, uh, like we can have flexibility. We're not totally rigid in our way of thought, right?
Right.
I mean, if a situation presents itself and we suss it out and we feel like, okay, maybe we can make an exception here. Um, so I don't, yeah, I don't really second guess it too much. Um,
I feel
but
like I do a little bit.
yeah,
Go, sorry, were you finish what you were gonna say?
I just think that, but I don't know if we're right all the time. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, I mean that would
Yeah,
be second guessing a little bit.
yeah,
Yeah, like for example, like you said, the whole thing about you don't want him to be playing a game that's talking about a murder or whatever.
yeah,
Him as a little boy, he doesn't ever like play like I don't know, like, oh, I kill him, or like a fighting game or a shooting game, or he's never done any of that as a kid. I
yeah.
mean, as
Yeah,
his
he
age.
has, but not to the point that where like some of his other friends might. Um, like he's aware of killing and death and what all that, and again, it's like, I mean, maybe we're contradicting ourselves, but like we'll on Roblox, we'll let him play if it's more of a uh, like a fighting game, but not
Right.
necessarily they have guns. And I mean, maybe we're just being totally contradicting ourselves, but it's also, it just feels a little less violent. You know what I mean?
Like when he plays, he
So,
does. You guys don't ever say like, "Ah, you killed me," or "Oh, I killed you." Like that's not the type of language ever used.
not really. I mean, he said it like we've shut him down. Like when he's on with his friends on
Right.
Roblox, for example. Like if they're playing some fantasy game, and obviously if someone's getting blasted by some
Right.
some magical ray or something like that, essentially they're dying, right? In the game. Um, and we've heard them go back for like, oh, I just killed you, you know, and then we'll take them aside and say, look, whatever the case may be, use the word destroy instead or something like that. We're not going to go in, like, you got to understand what like what killing really means. Because I think that some of this stuff can be so desensitizing, especially for young kids, that they don't necessarily understand the severity of what killing really means.
Right. And you don't think the word destroyed could equal the same,
Yeah.
have the same meaning?
Again, you know, I could be totally contradicting myself in all this.
Right.
It just makes me feel a little bit
You're
better.
just going with your gut, and
Yeah.
no, no. Look, I'm just playing devil's advocate
No,
because
no, for
I'm
sure.
I'm trying to figure it out because I know that like I have two trains of thought. Like one train of thought is, and I have these trains of thought by example of people that I know that have had kids that I've seen the different results.
Yeah.
And I have friends that are just totally like a free for all. Like they don't censor themselves, they don't censor things around their kids. They kind of let their kids, for the most part, hear and see things
Yeah.
that most parents wouldn't let certain age groups hear and see. And their whole thing is, I'm not going to hide things from my kid. I'm going to try to tell them what's appropriate. And that maybe if they hear or see something at home, it's not appropriate to like talk about it or see it or try to, seek it out outside of home, or words that I might let them, they might hear and they might even repeat. I'm going to tell them they shouldn't repeat that
Yeah.
outside the home. And for the most part, those people with those, that have raised their kids that way, I've seen their kids, at least up to now, seem like really good, solid individuals,
Yeah.
kids. And then I've had friends who have been super strict with their kids. And then I've seen those kids kind of like more times than not, get to a point where they wild out.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I lean towards the like wanting to be a little bit more open, because I've seen, those two different roads.
Yeah. I think we lean more towards the exposing. And he's aware of a bunch of stuff. And
Right.
and is but I think, but then we draw the line with the partaking in it. It's like, hey,
Right.
here's what it is. Let's talk about it. Let's explain it. But you're too young to partake in some of this stuff right now. I think that's where we try to find a balance with it.
Like talking about this stuff like Halloween, for example. Like I love the holiday of Halloween.
Yeah, so does my son.
I think it's a fun holiday. As a kid, it always reminded me of the beginning of all the holidays leading up to
Right.
the grand of them all,
Yeah.
Christmas with the presents.
Right.
And I never really was into like scary stuff. I didn't like the scare of Halloween. But I did like to feel like a little like, ooh, it's spooky, but more on the fun side of it. And my daughter seems to like it too. So, but sometimes they're on YouTube Kids, which she watches a lot. There's a lot of like Halloween things, that are catered to her age. And sometimes I'll look at them and like the zombie or the skeleton, and I'm like, I don't know, that's a little bit crazy. But she doesn't seem to be scared of it. It doesn't scare her. And sometimes I worry like, is she gonna have a nightmare from seeing this cartoon that to me is
Yeah.
maybe a little bit too gory. And but she doesn't seem to have any issue with it. And then like I'll want to put like Scooby Doo, and my girl thinks that that's a little bit too, I don't know, maybe too advanced
Right.
and scary. But I think Scooby Doo is probably tamer than some of these YouTube Kid things.
Right. Probably.
I don't know. What are your thoughts on like Halloween and that?
Yeah. My son is into Halloween. But on the same kind of note as you, he's not really into the scary side of
Right.
it, but more just it feels festive and dressing up in a costume and all that kind of stuff. I mean, he likes the jack-o'-lanterns and just all the stuff that goes along with it. But yeah, he's not really into the gory side of it when it
Like,
gets.
does he see? Hold on. I need to plug up before my computer dies. Does he see like like the zombies or the skeleton, like that type of imagery? Does it bother him? Does he like it? What?
Nah, it doesn't really bother him. He thinks it's all right. If it gets too like we've gone into some of those like Halloween superstores. I don't know if you
Yeah.
have them down in
Oh yeah.
Miami.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and they got the crazy setups where you walk by and
Yep.
all of a
And
sudden
it jumps
something
at you, or
jumps.
yeah.
Yeah, like when we would go in there, that would freak him out. Like, or there'd be certain ones where their heads would twist all the way around, and kind of like
Right.
from the Shining or a zombie, or
Yep.
that would freak him out. He wouldn't like that. Um, he can take it to a certain point, but whenever it gets too intense, it's too much for him.
What my daughter does, it's that I think is, I don't know if she got it from one of us, but I think she did it on her own. But whenever it seems like something might be too scary in terms of like a Halloween monster or something, even me, like we would play like in the house, like a zombie chase. Like I'll be a zombie chasing her, or I'll be a monster, or I'll be a dinosaur, or whatever, or a
Yeah,
witch. And if it gets scary for her, and this goes across whether it's me doing it or she sees something that she might be a little scared of, she'll say, nice zombie? Is
mm.
it a nice witch? Is it a nice? And I'll be like, yeah, it's a nice one.
Okay,
And then that to her like tells her, okay, it might look a little scary or might feel a little scary, but it's ultimately it's a nice zombie. It's a nice vampire.
yeah.
They're not gonna hurt me. That's the way they look.
Yeah, he's not been scared of skeletons, and I think also because from early on, around Halloween time, he's been exposed to Dia de los Muertos.
Right.
So that's a non-scary use of that imagery. So it's not the exact same time, but there's a correlation there.
How crazy it is that if you think about it, the Halloween and Dia de los Muertos and all the imagery is really just kind of really showing like teaching them about death. Isn't
Yeah,
that crazy?
yeah. But what I think I mean, Halloween, I don't know. I don't think it really goes there, but Dia de los Muertos is more of like, he's made the altars in the
Oh
past.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Because I mean, he goes. It's not really, from my understanding, talking to my wife, like in El Salvador, that's not necessarily a thing. It's more of
Right.
at least here in California, it seems to come
It's a
more from
Mexican.
Mexican culture.
Yeah, yeah. Cubans, we don't do
Yeah,
that.
but his so his school, he goes to a dual language, and is a Spanish immersion, and so a lot of Mexican culture is infused there. So that's where that comes from. But it's interesting that, yeah, I mean, from early on, it's he learned about death, but it's more of from, okay, paying respect to those loved ones that passed. So
So
it's not. So it's
he
not.
fully
So it's not.
understands what death is at this
Hmm.
point.
Yeah.
But that's it. It's over. It's a wrap.
Yeah, and we had a very close death in our family, early on in his life,
Right.
with his grandma. So he was able to kind of see that all happen and then understand that from that perspective.
It's tough, man. How do you deal with it as a parent? Do you ever like go down the dark, rabbit's hole in your mind of starting to think about like and we've talked about this on the show,
Yeah.
but your own mortality and then your kids and I don't know, man. If I start to think about that stuff, it starts to get me a little crazy.
Yeah, I think I just wonder. I don't think about it too much. I think about it more of just like, just wanting to make sure I help set him up somehow.
Right.
You
Yeah,
know, we've
no, that's
talked
yeah.
and we've talked about the life insurance and all that kind of stuff. But even just as the world feels like it gets crazier, and I just think like, all right, where's a good place to really live? Where should we buy something? It'd be nice to have just some kind of place that he knew he could always come back to, no matter where he is in the world, that would hopefully be safe, and that there's just some kind of safe haven for him. So I think more about the safe haven part of it all,
Hmm.
not necessarily me not being there, or my wife not being there. It's more of just, where could how can we set up something for him so that whatever happens in this life, there's some kind of safety. And maybe that's not possible. I don't I don't know. It's not, I guess that's my like aspiration. It's like when you were
Yeah.
younger, the aspiration is like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be this producer, or I'm gonna, have hits on the radio, or whatever, whatever the
Right.
case may be. Like those were the kind of younger aspirations. And now with the family, the aspiration is, where's the best place to live that we that we all like, that I can, help create a safe haven for him down the road.
Yeah, no, that's legit. And as you've been talking right now, I'm on the same page with you. I've always thought like, I want to make sure that financially you're setting them up properly, that we do all these things, whatever it is, if it's a college fund or some kind of fund for
Yeah.
the kid. But while you were talking, I also was saying to myself, and this is obviously why we even do the show, the best thing that we could do to set them up is make sure that they're mentally and morally strong,
Yeah.
and that they are not, that if anything, their leaders not being led, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. That they're not lacking being able to take control of a situation, because who knows
Mhm.
what the hell this world's going to be.
Right, and that they have strong morals and principles that they won't easily be swayed by whatever's cool or trending or popping, and that they won't succumb to peer pressure.
Yeah. I mean, that's definitely something that we continually talk to him about, is like, hey, you got to be a leader, not a follower. And it's not like you can tell your friends what to do, or this is good to do, but you got to show by example. And if they want to, you can't change people, but if you can just do your own thing, and maybe, and you know help people be the best they can be without telling them what to do. So that's what we
Yeah.
try to encourage him to do. It's going to be interesting. The more that I guess friends have a stronghold on the kids and as they get older, but hopefully we can retain that level of him wanting to hang out with us and wanting to hear what we have to say and all that stuff.
You said you guys limit also how much TV or like YouTube or does your son do YouTube at all?
Not anymore. Nah, he was when he was younger, probably like around your daughter's age. It was YouTube Kids and those kind of quick
How,
hits.
did he watch it a lot?
Just
Like were you like purposely like trying to like be strict about that?
um we were pretty loose with it. I wouldn't say it definitely wasn't like an all day affair or anything like that.
Right, but a daily thing for sure.
Yeah, yeah, it was daily.
Because that's where we're at with it.
Yeah, it was daily. I mean, it was like a time and place for it. I mean, there'd be times definitely like especially when it was younger and if my wife was traveling. Um what the hell happened there? Sorry, man. Um if my wife was traveling and when he was younger, and so that would help kind of ease the anxiety of him wondering where she was. So there might be more times where that comes into play. I mean, it's still one of those things where we have to monitor. I mean, he has his shows that he likes to watch. So yeah, screen time is a thing but we're trying to put it more on him now making the decisions because there are times where we'll let him zone out a little bit more than normal. And if
Hmm.
he takes that opportunity, then he might get off the screen and he'll say, now I have a headache or I don't feel good, and that'll kind of freak him out. And so it's more of a conversation of, all right, if you're gonna watch something or play a game or whatever, like what kind of time do you think is good for you? What's gonna, is it a half an hour? Is it an hour? Is it what is it? You should start making the decision, and because you know how you feel afterwards.
All right.
So trying to get him in more of the decision making role in this stuff as opposed to us dictating all the time. Like, because we'll tell him like, all right, you got 20 minutes, and then 20 minutes will go by, and he'll say, "Can I have?" Then it's just constant interruption of like, "Okay, it's over. Can I do this?" But so yeah, trying to get him more into decision making.
Yeah, I mean, I brought that up because going back to the whole, peer pressure and as they get older, and you were saying hoping that he'd want to hang out with you guys the same. You know, I feel not conflict, maybe nervous that how much my daughter really likes to watch YouTube Kids.
Yeah.
And, I feel that it's harmless right now, but I feel that it's creating that pattern and that what's the word I'm looking for? I don't want to say addiction, but
No, I know what you're saying. Here's
because
what.
sorry, but just to
Yeah.
make a quick point, like because YouTube Kids and YouTube in general, to me, the difference, like she knows very specifically that she doesn't want to watch regular cartoons.
Mm,
She wants to watch YouTube, and then a lot of these YouTube videos are like regular people that are doing these videos,
yeah.
whether it's like craft stuff, like arts and craft, or some random dude that does like this thing with a puppet. And to me, that's already starting to create like this whole like social media. What are they called? Taste, not tastemakers,
Oh, influencer.
influencers,
Yeah.
and going into that world of who's cool on,
Yeah.
who's got the most views, or who's, like, and these people become like these celebrities, and I don't know. I feel like that's opening that Pandora's box.
Yeah. One thing that we noticed about that we had to control on the YouTube side of things was that it was affecting his attention span because he's sitting there with the iPad and watching it, and then you can easily just click through to something else. Like, oh, okay, I'm watching this for a few minutes. I'm bored. Let me go to the next. And it started being more of a scrolling thing than an actual sit and watch. And so we were nervous about that and just noticing like, hey, if you're gonna watch something, you gotta watch it. You're not gonna just
Right.
jump around for all this time. So that was something that we had to watch for.
Like for me, I mean, my daughter definitely likes the idea that she can control what she's watching.
Yeah.
But what I've noticed is as she's getting older, she's now locking in a little bit longer into these videos. Before she might scroll through them quicker, but
Yeah.
I think it's because she didn't really understand what was going on in the videos, and so if it didn't catch her attention, she would just move on. But I've always been creeped out by seeing these like regular Joe Schmo people doing, like, adults doing these videos for kids. Like, it always creeped me out, and
Yeah.
the more and more I see it, I'm like, I don't know, man. It's just weird to me.
Yeah. He was never really into that too much. It was more of the cartoons.
Yeah.
He's either it's either like he would like the cartoons, or if we're gonna watch something with real people, then it would be like a real movie or
Right.
something a little bit more adult.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're right. Real actors, not
Yeah.
like this middle-aged man
Right.
doing. And the thing is that I've gotten used to them now. Like, they're like a part of what she's watching.
Yeah.
Like, and some of them are they're, most of them are all pretty harmless. It's just for me and where I come from, it's weird. But the other thing too that's weird, I don't know if you ever watched this, if they were around when your son was watching YouTube Kids early on, but there's these videos. I don't know if these people, they seem to be like either Russian or Ukrainian or from that side of the world doing a lot of these videos, but they like do those songs of, like, you ever heard like No Papa, like,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
and they do like the thing, but it's like, yo, it's crazy because they have their kids in it, but they're like, to me, it's teaching bad habits to the kids.
Oh yeah. What's the one about the kid eating sugar?
Yeah, sugar, and then they're lying to their parents, and they're like, No Papa, and then they're like eating like a cookie, and I'm like, there's one that's like an hour long, like it's a long. They drag that song into like forever.
Yeah.
And me and my girl were like, and then what? At the end, the kid finally gets sick and realizes it was a bad idea to lie to his parents, and then they put at the end like, oh, he learned his lesson. But I'm like, man, that kid would have to watch that whole video, which was probably like half an hour long.
Yep.
To get to the moral of the story.
Right.
Before that, they're just learning all bad, habits.
Yeah. Yeah, that was he was on those for a little bit.
And the same family that pops up on her thing, then they have like all these toys in the videos and all these things. And I'm like, it's crazy. I'm like, what is it teaching our daughter at the end? Like, oh, that's normal. Like, I need to have all of that stuff. That's what that's a normal family.
Yeah, I am happy that we don't, I guess, watch broadcast. He is not watching broadcast TV that has commercials and everything. So anything that he's watching is Netflix or Hulu or
right.
Those where the commercials are gone. Because then, like, if we go any kind of trips or anything, we're in the hotel and he watches something there, it's just like commercial after commercial of buy this, and he's hip to it now enough where he's like, he's annoyed by it. He's like, geez, they're really trying to sell these, sell these things, aren't they? So, but I think from earlier, that's what they try to get the kids early on. They see them and like, I got to have these things.
Yeah, my daughter's pretty hip to the commercials too. Even if it's something she likes, she's like, oh, come on, I want to watch my video. But then I kind of don't help because she just sounds cute when she says certain things. Like, there'll be a toy and I'll be like, I want that, and she goes, yeah, I want that.
Right.
I'm definitely not doing a good job. And we get her all kinds of stuff. I told my girl, we got to stop buying stuff. My daughter's getting used to just getting all kinds of stuff all the time.
Yeah, we scaled back on like the birthdays and stuff. At least he's at the age, and I think we talked about this before, at least he's at the age now where he's got more of like a couple key interests. So the stuff that we get him doesn't necessarily have to be toys anymore. It's more of like, all right, he's into basketball. You can get some cool basketball shoes or jerseys, skateboard gear, like the DJ controller, so that it's actually stuff that we'll use and and it's not just sitting in cabinets now. We got to
How's
do
this?
we got to do a major purge, man.
Yeah, we need to do one too. How's his skating going?
Oh, it's going great, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean the his instructor has been great for him, just like showing him in because he's interested in doing the tricks and the drop-ins and all that. So he's been
Right.
able to show him all this stuff. But then he goes and does it on his own on the week. We'll take him to skate parks around here or down other areas where he can just practice and do stuff. So yeah, I mean, seeing him from where he started, I mean, he taught himself how to skate, just got him a board, and he was, he learned the balance and to be able
Yeah.
to move around on it. But then actually taking him once a week um, to this guy who's been great with him, just like, yo, I mean, he can do like a 10-foot drop in now and do all this kind of crazy shit. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is he into the whole culture of skating? Is that
Yeah.
something?
He,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. So, he likes the gear, just the whole vibe of everything.
You teach him ever like you show him any old like skater videos
Yeah,
or
we've
like
watched like the
put him onto old
Dogtown.
skaters?
Yeah, we
Yeah.
watched the Dogtown documentaries and
Nice.
all that kind of stuff. And the one thing that he likes, well, I was telling you about in Roblox, Vans did they've got their own Roblox game called Vans World.
All
So,
right.
you can run around and skate on that and everything. So,
Oh,
yeah,
super dope, man.
yeah, he's into it.
Yeah, I'm trying to. I want my daughter to get into it. Right now, she's just using a scooter, but then I have the boards without the wheels on them,
Yeah.
and I let her like practice, just like getting on it and on the carpet, and I show her what like an ollie looks like, and she tries to do it, and I would think it would be super cool if one of my kids got into that.
Yeah. I mean, it was pretty, I think he just from where we live, we see, he saw people skating around. I thought it was cool. And we just got him a board one day and gave it to him. And he just gravitated toward it. So,
So,
you
and
know,
surfing too, right?
yeah. Yep.
How's that? Two things that you would think it'd be scary to watch your kids trying to do.
It is scary, but it's also cool because, like, skating, for example, when he's doing these drop-ins, I mean, that would scare the shit out of me just looking
Right.
down at that. And like last weekend that we went to the skate park and there was this one, it's probably like, it's anywhere from a 12-foot to 10-foot drop-in. And it's been the one thing at this particular skate park that he hasn't been able to do at that
Right.
because it's scary.
Mm-hmm.
And so, no one's pressuring him to do it, but he wants to try to do it. And so he'll walk up, look down, and then he'll get nervous and, freeze up and won't do it. And then it's like you can just see him talking to himself and trying to get it going. And he'll walk off and then he'll say, all right, I'm going to go do it. And then walk back up, so he'll just do this kind of song and dance with himself.
Yeah.
But it's cool to see him want to do something and then mentally overcome it. And then he'll go and do it. And then that just
So he did it?
Yeah, he did it.
And he
Fine.
didn't wipe out?
Nope, he's fine. Yeah, because he's done other drop-ins that were, close to being that height. This one looked a little bit more menacing because the way it was built. But it's a nice proving ground for him to be like, look, I can you can mentally overcome your fears. You just have to have the confidence in yourself and obviously have the skills. But so that kind of stuff, aside from the skating, but just that whole kind of building that mental strength, I think has been great for him.
How is it? Is it ever intimidating when you go to the skate parks with all the other skaters and the older kids and the people just going around who are all serious about skating?
Yeah,
and having this little kid in the midst, like is
yeah,
that a little intimidating?
Yeah, sometimes. I mean, definitely when he was newer
For
at
you
it.
and him.
Yeah, both.
Yeah.
I mean, I wasn't there, but maybe about a couple months ago, he had someone ram into him, an older kid ran into him. They
Oh,
both wiped out, and I think the older kid was kind of a dickhead about it afterwards, and but he brushed it off and kept it moving. But he's learning the etiquette of it in terms of, all right, let me not clog up the lines here and that kind of. But
right.
it is still a little nerve wracking with any
Yeah,
of this
because
stuff.
your instinct is to want to protect your kids from any.
I mean, even when he plays basketball, because he has been playing with some older kids.
That's true.
So he's been playing like with like 10 to 12-year-olds in some of these scrimmages and games, and they're much rougher, and you can see, like, when he first enters the game, his confidence level isn't there, so he's not getting the ball and all this, and people are getting rough, and then it'll take someone to piss him off, and then he'll just like get into the
Mm,
zone, and then he'll just go for it and start getting rough. And but it's that it's these things are achievements for him. Like, he's nervous, so he's got to get over it and get into the moment and build the confidence up, because he's got the skills. He just
right.
has to get the confidence and not be fearful. So these are all good things in that respect. Whether or not he stays doing any of this stuff, who knows? But I like what it's doing in terms of helping him with confidence and overcoming fear.
True. Yeah. Yeah. No, it seems like it's definitely the building blocks to and then the experiences that help you
Yeah,
build
yeah.
character.
And as a parent, like, I'm watching him, or if he gets knocked down, or I want to run over, or I want to, like, I don't know about it,
Right.
but also you gotta it's practice for us to kind of sit back and see how it unfolds and let him do his thing.
Yeah, I'm terrible, man. I'll run up to my my kids if they fall. My daughter specifically right now because she's more prone to doing things and I'll like baby her.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and she knows it.
yeah. I mean, you got to do that also.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. But well she's not skating yet, obviously like I mentioned, but she just started a ballet class in her school.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and she only did one day last week and she loves it though. She
Oh,
loves
that's
to
good.
dance. So that's cool.
Yeah, it's cool to see when your kids start to get into stuff.
Yeah, no, she's definitely getting into her stuff and my son seems to be gravitating towards music. At least right now he's
Yeah,
showing, signs that he likes music. Like any of the toys that are music related,
that's dope.
he'll go to and play and then he'll start to like jam.
Yeah, nice.
So that's interesting. So hopefully, he goes in that, into that lane. But yeah, man, being a parent, man, it's a scary place.
It is. I think we can end it on that note.
Yeah.
End it on a positive note. Being scared.
All right, brother.
All right, man. Talk later.
Yes, sir.